Mr. Bόφινγκερ, which adjustments do you consider as necessary concerning the strategy of eurozone for the complete exit from the crisis?
Well, I think we are now in a good situation as far as the financial crisis has been stopped, but we still have fundamental problems concerning unemployment. Unemployment rates will remain high in those countries that are most seriously affected by the crisis, and therefore we have to ask what we can do to boost demand in the eurozone. The recession has been stopped, but I think the momentum is still relatively weak. Therefore, I think what is required now is an overall program to boost demand, and I think this boost of the demand must come from public investment, because private investment will remain weak, especially due to the problems in the banking sector. Well, if you want to reduce unemployment, we need more demand, we need more growth. Of course, we can also do things on the structural side. I think there's also a lot of scope for improvement, but without demand, all the structural reforms will not lead to more employment.
Do you agree with the view that Berlin should boost the demand in the German economy so as to moderate the imbalances within the eurozone?
Yes, there's also scope for more public investment in Germany. We have many opportunities to improve our infrastructure. We have lots of financial savings that are more or less idle, waiting for investment, and I think, yes, with more public investment in Germany, we do something for Germany, we do something for the demand in the eurozone, and we also provide good investment for German savers.
Do you think it would be appropriate if the ECB printed money?
Well, money printing is probably not a good idea. The ECB has done almost everything it can do. Its policy rate is close to zero. And I think now, if we want additional measures to stimulate the eurozone, if we want to avoid deflation, they must come from fiscal policy, not from monetary policy.
How do you evaluate the effectiveness of the reform program in Greece?
Greece has enacted many very powerful reforms, many painful reforms. I think this is something that no other country has been able to achieve. But reforms by itself are not sufficient to create more growth. And I think in parallel with the reforms, Greece has followed a very restrictive fiscal policy, much more restrictive fiscal policy than any other country in the world, I would say, in the last 50 years. And this very restrictive fiscal policy has led to a downward spiral, to a kind of implosion of the economy. And I think this has to be stopped. So if Greece wants to get out of this downward spiral, it will not be able to do this with structural reforms alone. It needs to boost demand, and therefore I think the first thing to do is to stop any additional austerity measures, because this would lead deeper and deeper in this downward spiral.
And what about the Greek production? Do these reforms pave new roads at that level, or they just change a system of production which in reality never existed in Greece?
Well, I think there's always a risk that one gets too critical vis-à-vis its own economy. If the economy is not doing very well, we did the same thing in Germany at the beginning of the last decade. So I think, yes, lots of things have to be changed, but probably not everything has to be changed. And therefore, I think what is important now is really to identify the areas where Greece will be competitive, where Greece will be able to regain strength. And therefore I would suggest that the country now develops a kind of national growth plan, identifying the main areas where with additional investment growth can be produced. And I would also suggest that such a national growth program is then supported by the European Union. I think after the period of rescue programs, we need now a period of recovery programs, where countries that are really willing to undergo structural reforms are also supported with their investment programs and projects, so that growth is not only coming from structural reforms but also from additional public investment.
Do you think that the Greek case remains a threat to the stability of the eurozone, as a series of analyses has highlighted over the previous period?
I don't think that Greece is a threat to the eurozone. because a major part of what is required has been achieved, and that's the internal devaluation. I think the main problem for Greece was how to become more competitive, how to increase unit labor costs, and I think after the last few years, unit labor costs have come down by internal devaluation, so it's no longer necessary to devalue with a nominal exchange rate, and therefore I don't think that Greece is a threat to the stability of the eurozone.
Do you think the increased Euroscepticism is justified? There are policies which are not being implemented, or there are difficulties which the European public has to suffer?
Well, the Euroscepticism is certainly due to the fact that the euro area economy has not been doing very well in the last few years. So people associate with Europe and with the euro falling living standards, unemployment, lack of growth prospects. And therefore, I think it's really important that the European Union now starts a growth initiative. I think that's a good time after the European election with the new European Parliament and the new European Commission. We need now a joint growth initiative in Europe for all countries, so that the citizens in Europe see the European Union not only as a threat, as something which makes life more difficult, but also as an opportunity for more growth and for more employment.